There was a lady called Ruth in the Bible. There's a whole book on her. Ruth was a Moabitess, all right, from the tribe of Moab. The tribe of Moab was cursed by God. God says they cannot enter the congregation of the Lord in Deuteronomy. So she lives under the ban, she lives under the curse. Now she's married, however, to a Jewish guy called Mahlon. Mahlon and Chilion, the two brothers, are the sons of Naomi and Elimelech. So what happened is that as time went on, Ruth had no baby, Ruth had no fruit, married to Mahlon. Mahlon, his name in Hebrew means sickness. The brother's name, Chilion, means dying. I don't know why parents would call their kids' names dying. The next boy is sickness. Usually they name these children after an event in their lives. But what a name. So she had no children, she had no fruit. Her husband died. The other brother also died. And then, but she's the only one that decided to go back with her mother-in-law, Naomi, a Jewish girl, back to Bethlehem, the town where Jesus was born. So when she went back over there, she worked as one of the lowly and menial tasks of gleaning harvest, okay? Gleaning the barley harvest. She'll pick whatever the harvesters, as they glean, they drop something, some stalks were dropped by accident. She'll pick up all those stalks. That's called gleaning. It's a thankless, hard, back-breaking kind of work under the hot sun. So she worked like that. Then the boss of the field came. His name was Boaz. Boaz in Hebrew means in him is strength. And he looked at Ruth. The Bible says Ruth found favor in his eyes. He was a Jew and he was a very eligible bachelor. Plus, he's the most wealthy man in Bethlehem. And he looked at Ruth, and in and of herself, she's disqualified from the family of God. And Boaz is in the family of God. So Boaz is a type of Jesus. Because under the law, there is a law of God that says when a person becomes poor and his land is forfeited or mortgaged. So when someone becomes poor and he has to forfeit his land or to pay off his debts, there is a way out. It's called the principle of the relative redeemer, close relative redeemer. And if you have a relative who is rich, because the rich can help the poor cannot help the poor. So here we have Ruth, poor, gleaning. But there's a way out if she finds a close relative of Naomi, her mother-in-law, who is rich and most importantly is willing to redeem her, willing to buy back her land. And the law states must also marry her to produce fruit for her husband who has died. All that is in the deal. We know we have relatives who are rich but not willing to help us, because money is relative. More money, more relatives. So not only Jesus must be rich, he must be willing. Is he part of the family? That's why he became man, to be part of the human race, to be a close relative. So Boaz was the close relative to Ruth, and he fell in love with Ruth already, and he wanted to redeem Ruth, redeem her poverty, redeem her land, redeem the field in the name of a dead husband, and he wants to marry her. But alas, in every drama, there's always a third party. And this third party, there is a closer relative, the Bible says. A close relative, closer than Boaz. Boaz is a relative, but not so close. This relative came first. Now, who came first? The law came first or Jesus came first? The law came first. Alright, Jesus came after. So Boaz told Ruth, I want to redeem you, but I cannot yet. I must allow this close relative to have the first choice, the first prerogative. If he exercises his choice to redeem you, he will marry you. So I'll ask him first. So the next day, at the gate where the elders are gathered, the Bible says Boaz gathered 10 elders, 10 to represent the law. And then the close relative came, and his name was never mentioned in the book of Ruth. Why? Because the law has no name for us to memorize or to remember. Jesus has the name. So the close relative came, and Boaz says, oh, that's like yo in those days. Yo, come over here. And he told him the story and said that if you're going to buy the land, you must also in that day marry Ruth and bring up seed for the day. And this guy, the close relative, said, I cannot, because the law cannot bend to help. The law says what? The Moabite cannot enter God's congregation. And now he says, I'll marry her. He'll compromise his standards. So the law said, I cannot. Let's follow the story here real quick. And the close relative said, Ruth 4 verse 6, I cannot redeem for myself. Can you see the word it down there? I cannot redeem for myself. I cannot redeem her for myself, lest I ruin my own inheritance. You redeem my right of redemption for yourself. He told Boaz, I cannot redeem her. The law cannot save you. The law cannot redeem you, because you are over here, the law is over here. The law cannot come down to your level. So the law says, I cannot. If I come down, I mar myself. Now Jesus stands by, and Jesus came down and brought us up. Now this was a custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. To confirm anything, one man took off his sandal and gave it to another. In other words, if you say that, okay, I give up my right to redeem, you must take off your shoe and give to, in this case, Boaz. So Boaz will ask the relative, you don't want to redeem her? He said, I cannot, lest I mar my inheritance. His name and reputation is more important. So what did Boaz say? Give me your shoe. That's the custom. He gave his shoe. Now what is the meaning of giving the shoe? Giving the shoe means, now, Mr. Law, you have no more right to walk all over Ruth. Ruth is you and I, the bride of Christ. Boaz is Jesus. The close relative is Mr. Law. Give me your shoe, Jesus says. Now you have no more right to walk all over her. You have no more right to walk in the fields. Even Moses under law, God says, take off your shoes. In other words, he has no right to stand in God's presence. But the story of the prodigal son under grace, the father says, put shoes on my boy's feet. And that boy wasn't even holy as Moses. He sinned real bad. And God said, put shoes. He has a right to stand in my presence. Alright, he took off his shoes, gave it to her. Now look at verse 9. Boaz said to the elders and all the people. Boaz turned around. He got Ruth by his side now. He looked at all the people and said, you are witnesses this day that I have bought everything that belonged to Elimelech and all that was Chilions and Mahalon. Listen to what our heavenly Boaz, Jesus Christ, is saying. He is saying, you are witnesses this day that I have bought everything. Elimelech means God is king. Everything that God, the king, gave to man that was lost, Jesus says, I have bought back. It's called redeemed. And all that was Chilions and Mahalons, the two brothers who died. The names mean what? Dying and disease. Everything that has to do with death and disease, I have bought back for man. Bought back for the church. Bought back for all you roofs, the bride of Christ. And the law cannot walk over you anymore. He has no more right to walk on your property. Jesus has his shoe. But the best is yet to come. You know what happened when Boaz married Ruth? It's not the end yet. The next scene, Ruth is holding a baby. Now she's holding Boaz's son. His name was Obed. He became the father of Jesse, who became the father of David. And that's why in the genealogy of Jesus Christ, Ruth's name is there. Because God has the beautiful gospel story written in the love story of Ruth, showing us that the close relative, don't hold on to him. Oh, for goodness sake, don't be a woman that holds on to Mr. Law. But what the church does is committing spiritual adultery many a times. What they do is that they say that I can keep God's standards. Men, they are preaching the law, they want to hear preaching on the law, and they do their best to keep God's standard. And when they fail, which inevitably they always will, they run to Jesus. Watch me, forgive. Jesus says, I forgive you. Now I can. I can keep your standard. Oh, the eggs broke again. Sorry. Jesus, you know. They never have a real relationship with Jesus. So they go on here. You know what God calls that? Adultery! There must come a time in your life. You must stop this. You have no more dealings with Mr. Law. You are married to him. When you are sad, you tell him. He is your joy. When you are confused, you share with him. He is your wisdom. He is your peace. He is your Prince of Peace. His love for you never fails. His peace that he gives is beyond human understanding. Every morning when the eggs break, his mercies are new every breakfast morning. And whatever you lack, you are weak, he is your strength. When you're down, he is the lifter of your head.